Hey, it's Matt LaRosiere here with Firearms Policy Coalition, bringing you another weekly update, just to make sure you guys have all of the latest information on everything affecting your right to keep and bear arms. Now, it's sure been an interesting week, so let's get straight into it. Now, in our world, we very often see, let's call them interesting things happening in the state of Maryland. It's not the most gun-friendly state. In fact, it's probably among the least. But this week, we saw the mayor of Baltimore, Jack Young, begging criminals to stop shooting people. That's right, despite the tremendous amount of gun control laws on the books in Maryland, people are still shooting each other. In fact, in the city of Baltimore itself, had a murder almost every day last year. I don't know if it's just me, but that doesn't kind of bode well for the policies they have on the books. Policies like the new law that was just signed last week, which would require basically all private long gun sales to go through a dealer with an attendant fee. I mean, that doesn't really have much logic to it. It's definitely not aimed at reducing crime, but still, this is just the logic in the state of Maryland. So naturally, the Baltimore mayor's comments were directed at, to keep hospital beds open for coronavirus patients. Criminals should stop shooting each other. I mean, it's just an interesting display of theater to behold. In other news, it goes without saying that people have been having a hard time finding toilet paper and things like that. But have you tried looking for this stuff? Any of this? Have you seen this lately? Most likely not. It's been drying up on the shelves everywhere. As the pandemic fears are setting in, people who, interestingly, might not usually have turned to gun ownerships are flocking to gun stores and buying up every handgun and even AR-15 that they can find. Not only that, ammunition, the prices have gone through the roof and availability is shot on common cartridges like 5.56, 9mm. It's almost impossible to find. I talked to somebody from a gun shop in Atlanta where they were actually having to bag up 9mm in smaller quantities just to give customers who are buying a gun something to fill the magazines with. Now, the gun industry is used to these kinds of boom and bust cycles, but this is really severe. I don't know exactly how to take it. People, many of them suburbanites, who are in fact quite often on the other side of gun control, the other side from us, are concerned about their neighbors. They're concerned about scarcity. They're concerned about people, looting, and are turning to gun stores to try to get some mechanism defending themselves. I mean, naturally, they should have done this earlier, but it's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know whether to feel good that these people are kind of waking up to the utility of having a firearm for self-defense, or whether to be annoyed that I can't go to the range as much as I really want to. And what better to go with panic buying, paper shortages, and an inability to find ammo, but local governments absolutely wilding out and acting as tyrannical as they possibly can. There's been all kinds of stuff happening all over the countries. Governments acting out, trying to help with the coronavirus issue, but as we know, the government trying to help doesn't always do that. We're going to talk about just a few of these because there is no way we'd be able to cover every single loony thing that's been happening. First thing we're going to talk about here, California. San Jose mayor ordered the closure of gun shops as non-essential. What was that thing we were just talking about? It seems the people don't quite agree that they're non-essential. Nonetheless, in a time of emergency, the government knows a little bit better, all right? Why don't you focus on getting your paper and don't worry about the defense of your own life. You can just, make do. Then in Louisiana, seemingly learning nothing from what we all observed in Hurricane Katrina, the city mayor has issued her own state of emergency, which, among a lot of things, it's pretty broad, empowers local authorities to utilize private property, to seize it without really much direction in the order as to what the limits are there. Not only that, it directs local authorities and gives them the ability to suspend the sale, distribution, and transportation of alcoholic beverages, firearms, explosives, and other combustibles. That just seems like a big step for me, right? When people are in need, when people are trying to really stay to themselves and be under control, they need to have their means of defense. And also, I mean, the alcohol aspect of it, I mean, it just seems weird. It seems overbroad. You know, sure, they might say it's a justification on, you know, limiting combustible materials, but it just seems sketchy to me. And it's just a yikes from me. Not only those things, guys, but all over the country, there's been a lot of weird activity. A lot of these types of emergency declarations granting local governments extreme swaths of power. A lot of curfews, things that are incredibly concerning of their own right, a not very well explored area of the law, but it seems like there has to be at minimum a First Amendment exception to these curfews, something I haven't seen so far. It's very concerning, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on all of this stuff and bringing it to your attention as soon as we see it and taking action where we can. We all know that liberty for a little security is a bad trade, and it's something we're not willing to take, any of us, all right? And so, look, no matter what's happening, no matter if you're sheltered in place, you have to remember that tyranny doesn't sleep, and that's why we won't either. So then in Pennsylvania this week, we saw the PIC system, the state's own background check system that it implements on top of the already overbroad federal background check system on firearm transfers. Well, as we've been discussing, there was an uptick in firearm sale. And it caused the PIC system, a system, mind you, that was lauded by gun control activists as a model for the rest of the country, and which has received an absolute boatload of federal funding, to crash. Twice. Through just about 1,000 purchases in a short period of time. That doesn't seem that extreme for a massively expensive government system, right? I mean, should a system that's supposed to be so good fail if a shopping mall's worth of people decides to avail themselves of the right to keep and bear arms? And then, when it fails, prevent those people from engaging in those transactions for an unknown amount of time? It's kind of ridiculous. And these types of things, as well as the obvious liberty interest, are why we are against these types of background check systems, especially when they're duplicative. Well, that's it for the news this week, guys. But I just want to say something. Despite all of this pandemic talk probably having a huge effect on your life, having a huge effect on the lives of the people around you, and grinding a lot of things to a halt, I want you to know that FPC is not slowing down. In fact, a lot of you probably got an email from me earlier this week talking about this. I am excited to tell you guys that we are going to be stepping it up now. In the coming weeks and months, we are going to be bringing you more content, and we're going to be getting more involved, directly taking action everywhere we can. It's about time to take the fight straight to these people who are trying to strip us of our rights, who are disrespecting our fundamental individual human rights. I am so excited to be more involved with you guys and to move forward. You're going to love what we've got coming down the pipe, and I'm sure of it. Until next time, keep your eyes on Firearms Policy Coalition, where we're keeping up the fight for all of your rights all the time. I've been Matt LaRosiere, and I'll see you real soon.